Hey guys, welcome back. Lesson 107. So the last one was real short. This one's gonna be a little longer, and it's honestly a little bit harder to show you everything about slope on here. I'm gonna try to find a good video on YouTube, kind of like what I did with the Pythagorean theorem one, for you to watch, just because I think it helps clarify things a little bit better. But I'm going to go ahead and teach you a little bit of a lesson here, and then see if I can find a good video to show you as well, just to give you a little bit more of a visual. This is way easier when we can learn it together and do like a little activity. So I'm going to do the best I can with what I've got here, but then I'll see if I can find you something, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by talking about what slope is, because some of you may be thinking, I have no idea what you're talking about, and that is totally okay and totally normal because you have not learned about it yet. So, who knows what this is? Anybody been skiing before? I personally have not been skiing before. How sad is that? Doesn't that like depress you? Unless you've never been skiing before either and you're like, wait, should I be depressed? I'm just kidding. I have always wanted to go skiing. It looks so fun. My husband loves it. And eventually, one of these days, we're going to go. But basically, we've got a ski slope here. And it's called a ski slope. Spoiler alert. I was going to ask you, what do you think this has to do with slope? Well, there we go. I just spoiled it for you. So yes, so we can see that when we got a ski slope, we've got, let me get my pen tool here. All right, got my pen. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at, all right, so you see how this slope, this mountain, has like a steepness about it, okay? So when we say slope, when we talk about a slope, we're talking about the steepness of something. Okay, so whenever you go skiing, if you have been before, then you probably know there are different types of slope and different types of slopes, different levels, okay? I only know this from what I've heard because obviously I haven't been, but I've heard there are bunny slopes. Bunny slopes look something a little more like this when you're going down them, okay? Now, the reason they're called bunny slopes is because they are a little bit flatter, okay? So going down a more flat, more horizontal surface is gonna be easier and not as challenging on new skiers versus slopes that are called like black diamonds or something like that. I don't know if that's really a thing, that's just in my head, but like the really hard ones that look more like this. Maybe not literally that steep, but like they're pretty steep. So more vertical would be a bigger slope, a greater slope, okay? So in number form, in order to determine steepness, we assign numbers to a line to determine its slope or to signify its slope. So like this bunny slope one might have a slope of like, we'll say 2, okay? Which it doesn't really, but we'll just say for that purpose. Whereas this really steep black diamond one might have a slope of 10. So the steeper the line, the higher the slope, okay? So I'm gonna I usually don't type on here. I usually have stuff pre-typed, but I'm gonna type that on here because I think that would be good for you to add to your notes. So the steeper the line, the higher the slope. Okay, so go ahead and write that in your notes too, because that's going to be important to know. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some examples. So if we are given different slopes here and we are asked different lines and we're asked to determine whether the slope of each line is positive, negative, 0, or cannot be determined. Okay, so now positive slope, we read slopes like we read a book, okay? So when we read a slope, we read from left to right, left to right, left, just kidding, left to right, left to right. Okay, so if we look at this first one, we see that from left to right, the slope is increasing. It is going up. So we would determine that that is a positive slope. If we look at the second one, we see that from left to right, the slope is not changing at all. It is staying constant. So a change of nothing. We can see that it's changing. There's a change there from left to, or there's a line there from left to right, but it's not changing. It is constant. So that would be called a zero slope. Then that third one we see is going down from left to right. So that would be a negative slope. And then the last one, it's not doing anything from left to right. It's only going up and down. So if we can't see any change at all, nothing going from left to right, then we would say cannot be determined, okay? All right, awesome job. So let's look at a little more info on slope. So slope is actually always identified as rise over run, okay? Rise over run is how you would make a fraction equivalent to the slope. So here's your process. Step number 1, you identify 2 clean points on the line, which I've already done for you here. I've given you this first point here and this second point here, okay? Once you've identified 2 clean points, then you count the rise and the run going from left to right. So starting at that left point, I can see I have a rise of 2 units here. Then to get to my another point, I see that I have a straight run of 1 unit. So that would be a rise of 2, a run of 1. So remember, it's rise over run. So that should be 2 over 1, which can be simplified in this case to just 2. So the slope of this line would be 2. Okay, everybody with me? I know you're doing good. Hang in there. Let's keep going. All right, so what if we've got this line and we want to find the slope of this line? Same process. We identify our 2 points, 1, 2. Then we're going to count our rise from the left, run to the right. So rise in this case went up 2. And then we count our run was 1, 2, 3 units. So if slope is always rise over run, then we just determined that our rise was 2 and our run was 3. So therefore, we can't simplify 2 over 3 or 2/3. So then our slope is just 2/3. Awesome job, guys. All right, so now, oh, just kidding. That's the next one. All right, so that is actually pretty much all we have. We just found that one, but we'll just go ahead and pull that one back up anyway. So that's pretty much all there is to slope, guys, at least as far as this is concerned. If you look on activity sheet 8 in your tests and worksheets book, there is an activity on slope where it gives you a bunch of different graphs and you can find the slopes, okay? So I would encourage you to go do that just to practice what we just did. You will also have, your regular homework, but that would be an excellent little bonus, just FYI, if you can get that one done and send it to me when you send me your test. I will give you some bonus points on your test. Last time I was real generous because I just loved that some of you guys actually did my bonus activity. So I gave you 15 points on your test. So that's kind of a kicker. That's kind of a big deal. So if you want a little extra bonus, you want to boost your grade a little bit, here's your chance. You can go do that activity on slope, which is in your test and worksheets book. Okay? All right. Have at it, guys. Happy homework.